A very good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome once again to this session. Today, let me just share you the agenda. So today we'll be covering clinical key and also Mendeley, and we will also cover Scopus. So most of the time, like I think half an hour of our slot, like we will spend on Scopus and see how Scopus helps in your research and improving the research output of your institution. So without waiting, let me start. Firstly, you all must be accessing Clinical Key already. So PGIM Colombo has subscribed to Clinical Key, which is a research and reference platform, like which you all can access from the IP range, and hopefully your IDs are also activated for remote access, where you can access Clinical Key from any network. So to visit Clinical Key, to use this platform, you have to visit clinicalkey.com, and with your login credentials, like you have to log in and start accessing the most credible and advanced evidence-based content which is available here. So Clinical Key can also be accessed using the mobile app, which you can download it from the Play Store, like it is there on Android and iOS. So the same username and password can be used to access the content. So quickly, to take you through what do we have on this platform, we do have reference and textbooks, we have journals. You can also access the latest practice guidelines, and the very interesting section on Clinical Key is clinical overviews, which gives you access to the point of care information and helps you take some quick decisions. All of this are actually curated from the content which gets published in journals, guidelines, and all. Like, don't miss out to access clinical overviews. So you also can access the gold standard drug monographs. You have a patient education section where you can access instructions on how to, in on the patient care aspect. So you have a lot of multimedia content. You have videos, procedural, surgical videos, which you can access and follow them. Which are clearly explained in step-by-step process. So you also have access to clinical calculators, like which are really very, very interesting and which will be of use. Like once you access them, you can use them as for your clinical calculations whenever you do some theses or prepare some tables and all. These calculators will be of use. So when we talk about the full scope of Clinical Key, it is not just about journals and books. So of course, Clinical Key comes with around more than 670 plus full text journals, and also more than 1100 ebooks. But beyond that, you have a full round specialty coverage. It covers around 37 specialties, and it also covers content on various sections, like clinical trials, drug monographs, multimedia, and a lot of patient education handouts. All of these things we will see once we are there on the platform. So let me quickly take you to the platform and very briefly show you how you actually can use Clinical Key. So once you type clinicalkey.com, like you will be there on this home page. You all must have already used it and maybe very familiar to this page. But for the interest of the participants who are new to this platform, let me explain you that Clinical Key is also known as a clinician's search engine. It is a clinical search engine which helps you browse through the conditions, procedures, drugs, disease overviews, all of these things, in one click. So whenever you come across any medical term or maybe any disease or condition, like you can just come and search, because this is a clinical search engine. Like we all are very much familiar to in using Google or similar way. If you want to search for maybe, if I say meningitis, like I get to see the term which I am trying to search, and I also get to see some auto suggestions. These are very clinically relevant auto suggestions, which will actually save time than you search on any generic search engines. So, this will help you save time. And if you pick up any particular term, it will give you results. Okay. It will give you results in two sections. One is, in a learning mode. So this section, which is in a gray color, display, this is about, more of a learning perspective, where you will know the overview, what is the treatment, quickly, this for a quick overview, you just come and you learn from here. And here, this is a results page. So this results page gives you a wide variety of formats. So, from the books which are already there, from the journal articles which are already there, clinical overviews, drugs, everything related to meningitis will come in over here. So now what you have to do is you have to use the filter. So you can use the filter, and you can navigate through this section. Whether if you want to see only clinical overviews related to meningitis, I clicked on clinical overviews from the filter, and I see all the clinical overviews related to that. I click on the clinical overviews, and I can access the content. So I'll come back to clinical overviews. I'll spend some time on this and show you how it actually works. So, this is about the search functionality. So here you can search for a disease condition. Okay, here you can search for a drug. So if I type a name of the drug, it will automatically come. When it comes to drug, when you click after the drug name, so to save your time, it will also suggest whether you want to see the adverse reactions of dexamethasone, or whether you want to see the contraindications of a dexamethasone. So, this will take you to that actual page. If you're only looking at adverse reactions of it, you click on adverse reactions, and you quickly come to a section where you can, see the adverse reactions on the right corner. Okay, so if you want to do some deep dive, you can always click on this view full topic and learn more about this particular drug. So that's how you can do a search with the drug name. So you can always search with with some disease conditions, or maybe some symptoms as well. So if I see something, like, for example, uh, or like this is a symptom like acute mm, pelvic pain in men. Okay, this is a kind of a symptom, like I can also search with symptoms and see, what it actually suggests. So I may read this from a chapter that is Ferry's clinical advisor. Like I can just go and read the chapter, or I can follow a algorithm of acute pelvic pain, where I can just go and evaluate this table, and understand what it is actually about. I can also see some images, related to acute pelvic pain, maybe a CT image, which might interest me. So that's how you can also search with the symptoms. So I can also search the journal name. As I have mentioned, the clinical key has got a huge variety, and a very good journals having a very good impact factor. If you want to see Lancet, you have all the Lancet journals available. And if you want to see seminars, so you have seminars. It covers a large number of seminars. If you want to see clinics, you have clinics of North America. You have psychiatry clinics of North America. You have emergency medicine clinics of North America. So this kind of search can be done if you know the name of the title. For example, I wanted to see a book of medical microbiology. I can directly type the name of the book, or else I can search. So if I don't know the name, and I would like to see what are the books available in maybe multi something like this, like and the search results page will give you some book suggestions, and from there you can pick up. So I just randomly type something. So if you then you can use this search engine for any kind of searches. Like if you come across any kind of clinical questions, like most of them which remain unanswered because of the time constraints you all have. So you can use Clinical Key to find those answers from the most current uh, content. Like Clinical Key is so dynamic that like the everything whatever gets updated, whatever get published, that immediately gets updated to Clinical Key, so that you access the most recent content. So for example, if I want to see a disease, a condition, and I want to see what could be the differential diagnosis of a particular disease, I can just type the name of the disease and see in clinical overviews. Clinical overviews, you can directly go to clinical overviews and see the specialty. For example, I wanted to see clinical overviews in infectious diseases. So there are different overviews, and if I say that I want to see anthrax, so I click on that, and these clinical overviews are actually updated on a daily and weekly basis, as and when the content get published. So as you can see that it is updated on March 22nd, 2021. That itself says that you can access the most current and recent information. So these clinical overviews are actually a point of care information which will help you save your time, so that the total literature which you are looking at are actually made as summaries. So this is a summary of that particular disease, which will help you save your time. This clinical overviews gives you the complete medical workflow which you actually follow. So it starts with key points. You have diagnosis, you have clinical presentation, you have causes, risk factor, laboratory, differential diagnosis. All of these things are in are curated, and they have made like synopsis and in a very short form, so that you can easily access the information. And this information, whatever is provided to you, has references in it. All of this content is references, and it is evidence based. So you can click on the references, and you can go to the references, or else do a cross referencing and check whenever, as and when you want to. That is how clinical overviews play a very uh, provide very crucial information when it comes to the latest content. So this actually will save your time as well. So you have a lot of books on Clinical Key, all books from different specialities. You can see the number of books which are there in these specialities. For example, I click on cardiovascular, there are around 62 books. All put together, you have around 1100 ebooks which can be read and which also can be downloaded. The best part of this platform is all of these books, journals, everything, books and journals are downloadable. You don't have any restriction. You just click on any particular chapter, and you will find a PDF icon. By clicking this icon, you can download any book chapter you want from Clinical Key. The same way, if you click on journals, so you will find the list of journals, and by specialty you can filter. For example, if I wanted to see what are there in emergency medicine, I can click on any particular journal, and once I click on a journal, I can go to volumes, and I can go to the issues. Okay, and I can download articles from that particular issue. So this is how you can access journals, and you can download journals, and you can also create an alert. Like you click on this subscribe, you will get an alert on your email whenever, as and when there is a new issue which is getting published. So that's how you keep a track of the journals which you follow. So you also have drug monographs, like where you can access every individual drug, and you can filter them by their drug class, acidifying agents. And once you get into this any particular drug, You can learn more about it, as I have just shown you that you can access the indications, dosage, administration, adverse reaction, and contraindications of any particular drug. So there are more than 2,500 drug monographs which you can access. You also have the access to the guidelines from various global societies. You can access them by, specialty, and you can see the latest guidelines. And you also have access to multimedia. So this multimedia helps you to, download content from Clinical Key, and you can, use this images in your presentations. Once you click on any particular image, you will have an option called add to presentation, and you can click on add to presentation. It is asking me to log in. Okay, the first thing what you have to do is you have to log in. So register and log in. If you are there on the IP, you can access any content, but when it comes to downloading images or making PowerPoint presentations or downloading text book chapters, like, it will ask you to log in. But for a read only purpose, if you are on the IP of your institute, you can access it and you can read, but when it comes to download, you need to log in. Let me just log in. I log in, and if I click on any particular image, that will, now I click on add to presentation. I can create a folder. I save that folder. There is already a folder with the name. I can choose that folder. Okay, I can choose any folder and add this image. Okay, once I add this image, I go to presentations. I have a folder here, and from here I can export this. Then, it will be downloaded to my local desktop as a PowerPoint presentation. That's how you add images to your presentation. So you also have content related to patient education. So this content actually helps in two ways. You can actually give this as a handout to your patient so that he don't miss out on any particular steps to follow, or else, like, as a student, like, or maybe as a learner, like, these things help us to learn the instructions which we need to give to the patients. So, that's how these handouts will be helpful. And these handouts can also be printed in various foreign languages. So, like, you in, for example, this handout, you can print it in English, Arabic. So you have Korean, you have Vietnamese, Spanish. A few handouts are in, various languages. You can check whether you have it in the language you want to. So that you select the language and you can print that in that particular language. So you also have a section called procedural videos. So where you can access all of these procedural videos explained step by step. So you can watch the video, or you can just follow the steps where you have very detailed images. You can follow. All of these procedural videos are also coming with the references. As you can see that, if there is an information regarding indications, so there is an information, and you also have a reference, so that, all of these instructions are all of these steps are prepared taking the references into consideration. So you need not worry about it while you implement these steps. So you can watch the video. So it comes with a voiceover. So in the interest of time, I'll not be playing these videos. Like, you can just go ahead and you can watch them and learn the procedure following the steps. So that's about the procedural videos. You also have clinical calculators. So there are various calculators, which can be differentiated by category. So you can just go to them and, given your inputs, and, it will give you some default answers, and also give you the evaluation formula, which is considered while doing that calculation. So this will be very helpful. So you also have clinical comparison, adverse reaction, drug interaction, drug identifier section, which you can also go through on Clinical Key. So on Clinical Key, you also have, just excuse me. I'm sorry. So you also have a section called COVID-19 Toolkit and Coronavirus Information Center, where we have uploaded a lot of content from without having any bias with regard to the content. So we have uploaded all the content from various publishers, and we have created this information center. And this from here you can download content, whichever is uploaded related to COVID-19 care plans, or maybe related to vaccine information. All of these content is here, so which is there on the homepage of Clinical Key. Sorry, I'm being a little fast in explaining, because I also have to cover a few more platforms which are quite new to you. So I think I have covered all the sections on Clinical Key. If you have any queries, you can always post it on the Q&A. So, once the session is done, I'll definitely answer them. So with regard to Clinical Key, if you have any queries, please post them on the Q&A section. So that's how you can use Clinical Key for accessing the latest evidence-based content. And by getting access to the latest and relevant content, so that will also help you in your clinical practice, so that because the content is actually made referring to the latest practice guidelines. So please refer to Clinical Key for any kind of clinical queries, and also reach out to me if you don't find anything, so that I can help you out on that. So let me quickly switch to Mendeley. So Mendeley is also a platform coming from Elsevier, which is a free reference manager. So why do you use Mendeley? Because maintaining large research libraries is always a tough job, right? So and so to prepare the to cite easily and to prepare the bibliography, it is a very tedious task. So reference managers like Mendeley, helps organize your research work, and it also helps you to collaborate with other researchers, and it also will help you to discover new research works. So let me quickly go to the Mendeley website and show you how you can actually use this to cite and also to prepare your to prepare your bibliographies. So as you can see on the screen, Mendeley supports desktop and also web versions. There are two versions in Mendeley. So there is a desktop version and also a web version. So let me go to the web version and show you how you can actually start. So to visit this website, you need to type www.mendeley.com, mendeley.com, and create your account. So I have already logged in. So if I log out, it will ask me to create an account. So if you have a Clinical Key login and password, you can use the same username and password to log into Mendeley, because whatever username and password you use on any of the Elsevier platforms are common. So if you the same username and password can be used for Mendeley, and once you log in, you will be seeing your name on the right hand corner, and you will also see a search option here as well. So as you see on Clinical Key, you can also see the search option on Mendeley. So by using this search, what you can actually search is, you can search for the articles. So like you can search for the articles, and you can add it to your library and use them to cite when you do your research work. When you write your papers, you can use them to cite. So let me show you what all things you have to download and install to start using Mendeley. So to do that, there is a link provided on the home page, which is download Mendeley Reference Manager. So if you click here, that will give you three options. So these three are very important. So one is you need to download Mendeley desktop for your Windows. So this, if you download and install, you will be getting a desktop app on your desktop, that is your computer, maybe a laptop or a PC. So that you can actually work offline using this desktop functionality. Here you have to download Mendeley desktop, and then you need to download this Mendeley web importer. So this web importer can be downloaded and installed on any of the browsers which you normally use. Could be a Chrome, Windows, could be a Chrome, Internet Explorer, or a Mozilla Firefox. You will get an option once you download it. So when now you see my screen, right? Like, this is a browser, a Chrome browser. I have downloaded and installed Mendeley web importer. That is the reason I am getting this option. Okay, you see on the top right corner, I see a red color Mendeley icon because I have downloaded a Mendeley web importer. So the third thing which you need to do is a citation plugin. So this citation plugin can be downloaded and installed on your Word, LibreOffice, or BibTeX. Mostly, most of the researchers, attend, they use Word. Like, you can download it for Word, and you can download and install on your Word. Once you download and install it on your Word, it will look like something like this. So this is my Word page. And here in references, once I download and install it, once you click on references, just a second, I get the complete Mendeley tools over here. Okay. Where I can insert citation, I can insert bibliography, I can export some styles. So all of these things can be possible if I download Mendeley Word plugin. Okay, this is citation plugin. So these three things you need to do. So once you do that, you're ready to go. So now I can search for articles. Before I show all of this on the web, so let me open my Mendeley desktop. So let me share my screen directly instead of sharing the window. Now you see my screen, right? So you see this on the toolbar. So I have a Mendeley desktop already downloaded and installed. So I click on this, then the Mendeley desktop window. So this is how my Mendeley desktop window will be. And these are all the documents which I have already added. Okay, these are all I have added to my library. This is my library, Mendeley library. I have added documents, and I'll show you how you can add documents. It is very simple. So there are two ways where you can add your documents, like where you can go to this file and add files, and you can add any document you want, or else you can click on add files, and you can add documents. You can add files, you can add folders, you can watch folders, you can do a manual entry. When does this manual entry come? Because it is not a file or a folder, when it is a website, when it is a URL, so you can click on, you can do a manual entry. For example, whether it is a book section or a case or a computer program or a film, or per se, if it is a web page, you can just add like web manually and put some URL over here, and you can add some files to it and you can save it. So that's how you can add a manual entry. That's also possible. So once you add that, it will be added to this section, which is all document section. So that's how you can add manually. If you want to add a folder, you can add a folder directly. If you want to watch a folder, you can just watch it from here and then add files from that particular folder. Along with adding files and folders, you can also import other libraries. Okay, so for example, other documents and folders, you can also import other libraries like EndNotes, BibTeX, RIS, and Zotero. So if you're already using any other reference managers, you want to import the whole library to Mendeley, it also allows you to do that. Okay, you can import it from here. So what do you do? I see some hand raising, like you can just post your question on the Q&A. I'll come back to that once I'm done with this. So what do you do? Like once I add any documents, like all of these documents are already added, and you can see what are documents. I have clicked on all documents. If I click on recently added, I'll get all of these documents which are recently added, recently read. I can make them as favorites by clicking on this star. Okay, I can make them as favorites, and I can filter them by read or unread like this. Okay, if you click on the green, it is marked as read. This green is not red, and if you click on this, it is red. Okay, I can filter by the document type. As you can see now, all the PDFs have come at the top. I can filter by author. I can filter by title, year published, and date added. So what else I can do? I can double click on this. I can open this document in different windows. Simultaneously, I can open various documents and do some, I have opened multiple documents on the same window. And in this documents, I also have an option. What did you observe when I click this? I also get to see the abstract of that document on the right hand side. I also get to see from which journal, whether it is open access, which year, volume, pages, everything will come in over here. Okay, everything will come in over here. I can also add a tag, okay, to it, so that in future, if I want to search with my research tags, I can easily search, and I can easily find that document, and I can prepare some notes. Okay, I can just prepare some notes, and if I double click this, I can do a highlighting like this. So just select and I can highlight content so that all of this content will come in the notes section. Okay. So that's how I can do the highlighting and prepare some notes using these documents which I have uploaded on Mendeley. Okay, so I have done those, and once I do that, I can also organize my documents by creating folders. I already have a folder with PGIM. So when I go to all documents, if I want to drag and drop, for example, want to drag and drop this document to a particular folder, I can do that. So this helps me organize things so that a few things which are related to this particular section are there in this particular folder. So this is how I can organize things. Okay, but when I click all documents, all documents from all folders will be displayed. Okay, though you have organized in these folders, but when you click all documents will be displayed over here. For example, I wanted to see, these are the filters, hope you got them. So recently added, you can filter, published, you can year, you can filter, and you can also filter by authors. Okay, if I want to see the author, like click on a author name, you will get to see that document from that author. And you can also filter by publication. So these are the publications. You can also filter by tag. So I have already few tags, like I have a tag called demonstration. You know, you remember this is a tag I have created. So if I click on this demonstration, all the documents which are tagged under demonstration will come over here. That's how you can tag them. Okay, so you can also filter by keywords. Okay, so here you can author keywords, you can give keywords over here, like you gave for demo tag, you can also give keywords. So that's how you can do some, or you can organize things here. And one very important thing, whatever you add on Mendeley, maybe on desktop, because I am using this Mendeley desktop version, whatever you are adding here will automatically, it gets synced to your cloud, it gets synced to your Mendeley cloud. And when when you're not accessing your desktop, when you're not accessing your personal laptop, you can directly go to mendeley.com and you click on this library. And what you will see is, all of the documents which you have added to the desktop will automatically sync to Mendeley library. It will be synced. Okay, and all the documents will be accessible online. So this is the best part of Mendeley, that the documents which you upload on the desktop will sync to online, and it will be available for you from anywhere. Mostly, the researchers use desktop for their work. And for whenever they don't you have access to the desktop versions, they go to the online version and access these files. So the same functionalities will be there, all the documents will be there. Okay, and you can access all the documents. And one very important feature of for the this platform is you can directly search for the literature over here. You can search for the articles. For example, I search for articles on obesity. So I get articles where I can filter. Okay, I can filter by year, and I can filter by journal. Okay, I can also filter by author and access type. So once I get this, the best part of this platform is I can directly add this to my library. So okay, so I click on this, it gets added to my library. Okay, directly it gets added to my library. Once I go to my desktop version and I click on sync, okay, the documents which I have just added, what you see that the documents are getting added, it is retrieving. And now I see just added. So these are the ones which we added related to obesity. Okay, it directly gets added to this page. Okay, now I tag this. For example, for my future reference, I already have a tag called demonstration. I have added this. And this also allows me to do check. Okay, I say the details are correct and I can save it. Most of the articles, sometimes when you download it from open source, the details of the articles, like maybe a journal name or the volume number, might not be correct. You check them and then you confirm that the details are correct, so that you get the authentic data captured. So that's how you can review the documents which you have added. So all the documents which you have recently added will ask you to review, and you can mark them as correct. Okay, so that you get to register the exact data. So that's how you do it. So now let me go to the Word. Okay, and now I would like to cite. I have started writing my thesis, and I cite. So to do that, what I do is I can insert citation. So there are two ways how to cite it. Whether if you remember the name, or I have tags called demonstration. So if I type demonstration, all the articles will appear, and I can directly cite. So now you see I have cite. I cite another article. I say I cite another article. I will cite one more. So I can directly go to Mendeley. If I remember the name of the tag, I can type it over here, or else I can go to Mendeley. That will take me over here, and I go to my folder. Okay, and I now cite it from here. I select the folder and I say cite, which is here. Cite. So now I have cited. So now I want to change the style. I simply go to styles over here. I click on insert citation styles. There are different styles that may, it could be an AMA or maybe Elsevier, Vancouver, or any other site style. I say IMA. I say use this style, and I say done. The site, it will change. So I can simply change the style, okay, by clicking on the style. So there are, more than 6,000 styles which are available. So which you can, use as per your requirement. So now I'm done with the citation. So now I would like to, if you want to edit this, you just click inside the bracket and it will allow you to edit citation or add one more. So now if I want to go to my library and I search for some other reference and I go to Mendeley, I add one more document and I cite this. Actually, let me do that once again. It should actually come. So once I'm done with citation, I'll come back to that in the interest of time. So once I'm done with my citation, I I go to bibliography. I just click insert bibliography. So all of these bibliography will automatically come. So, this is how you can use your citation section from Word. So you also have a section called Mendeley Cite, okay, here. So my Word is not allowing me to do this, but this is a very interesting section for people who use the online version than the desktop version. So you can just come here and the same, all of your Mendeley articles will reflect over here. You can click and you can add your citation. So, that's how you can use Mendeley for citing and, making your bibliographies. So let us quickly jump to Scopus. I'll come back to Mendeley queries. Uh, we are running short of time. I think we might take a little, maybe 5-10 minutes more than at the actual time, allotted time. Please bear with me. So this is Scopus. Um, if you have already explored this platform, great. If not, I'll help you do that. So Scopus is a citation and indexing database. So where, like you can see your research overviews, you can see, uh, uh, how to, select a journal, a good journal with a very good impact factor. All of these sections, you can all of these uses can be explored on Scopus. So let me quickly show you how PGIM is doing in terms of your research. So the data which I have pulled out is from Scopus. So this is a quick overview about, I don't know whether the name is correct or not. Like, I found University of Colombo. In that I also saw University of Colombo, Faculty of Medicine. So if I see on Scopus, like these are the documents which are affiliated, like there are 2003 documents and there are 589 authors. So, there are other name formats which you can see: Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, Faculty of Medicine. And I can also see the documents published by year. So I see that in 2021, like there are 71 documents which are already published. There are 153 last year. I think you had the maximum publications in 2018. So you can see this. And you can also see the subject areas. The majority of the work we can see happening in medicine. There are 1598 documents which got published, and the rest belong to the other subject areas, like biochemistry, immunology and all. Majority is in medicine, this is 56%. So this is about the documents by type. As we can see that the majority are the articles which got published, and the remaining being reviews, letter, conference papers, and the others, editorial papers and all. So the 82% are articles. So this is a analysis. This kind of analysis can be done on Scopus. So you can also see the authors. Okay, these are the authors. Like as you can see, Dr. Rajapakse is contributing to this. That he has got the majority publications done, 109, and followed by Rodrigo, Dr. Rodrigo C. So in 98. So, you can see this analysis of authors. For a quick understanding, the kind of support, like the Scopus gives you to reach your goal, it actually helps you to combat with predatory publishings. Like now, you see that, there's some journal name, whether you don't know whether it is actually index journal or not, you don't know whether in a confusion. So Scopus helps you to find out, whether it is indexed or not. If it is not there on Scopus, it is not an index journal, and, you'll not get the kind of mileage you have to get if you publish in that particular journal. So that this Scopus platform will help you to combat with that, and it will also help the researchers to optimize their analytical powers. Like it will help the researchers to see the kind of value and see the kind of citations they are getting, or they follow other research work and see what are the kind of articles getting published and what are the kind of articles are getting more citations and more references. That is also possible. And it will help you to make the research workflow more efficient, and it also empowers institutions to strengthen performance, rank, and reputations, to improve the ranking. So you can see where your institution is standing in terms of research, and you can see where the other institutions are standing, and you can see where the actual work is going in terms of research, and the topics where the researchers are going. It will help you to collaborate, and also that will help you to improve the research output of your institution, and that in turn will help you to improve your ranking. So Scopus will also allow the funders to optimize their investment. It will funders, the funding agencies, or maybe internally, you can see where the majority of the research is happening, and majority of the quality research is happening where you get the majority citations, and so that you can invest your funds in that particular topic or the research department. So it also helps in identifying emerging trends. So you can see what are the trends going on in the market. So you can see it will help you to support funding, as I've just mentioned. It will empower your organization, see the analytics of your researchers, see the analytics of the kind of research you are happening, and it will also enhance the visibility of your institution, so that you see the other institutions will also see you. Okay, that what you are actually doing. It will enhance your visibility. And it will also foster collaborations. So you see there is an interesting research going on, you can collaborate with them, and you can do a joint research on a particular topic. So it will help you to collaborate with other institutions. This is the kind of global representation which Scopus has got. So it is not just a mere American or British content. It covers all regions of the globe. So, as you can see that, it has got a equal share of the content from across the globe. And there are around 60 plus percentage of active journals and books. Okay, you also have active trade journals, and you also have a huge majority chunk of inactive books and journals. So this is the overall global representation. So, Scopus will help the researchers, to get their work discovered very easily, because, like if you are there, if you are publishing in an index journal, like that provides you an opportunity to improve and to increase your visibility of the work you're doing, so that, you can get cited, and you can also capture references. So as most of the users on Scopus, they unanimously said that, they have used Scopus to tracking citations for their publications and also on the other authors' publications. That is the primary reason for what they use Scopus for. So 75% of the documents, so they have searched for the documents to analyze the search results. 49% search for their documents, and search for author profiles. And most of them, 45% said that, they have exported documents, citations, and bibliographies from Scopus. So as Scopus at a glance, like the curated content from over 5,000 publishers, indexed, organized to support your research needs. So Scopus has got around 70 million items, 1.4 billion cited references, 70,000 main institutional profiles, and 16 million author profiles. So it's a huge database. Okay, it's a huge database, so that, it'll help you to cite, and it will help you as a researcher and authors. It will help you to search for relevant topics, okay, and articles during the literature review phase. Okay, this is for the researchers and authors, and it will help you to decide where to publish. You can analyze the top journals and authors, okay, from your discipline. So the very interesting part of Scopus is, it helps you to analyze. Every section you have an option called analyze, where you can see a very interesting graphs, and that will help you to decide on where to publish. So finding information to support your grants. Okay, it will help you to explore how many citations a particular author has received, and so that you can identify potential authors and researchers and collaborate with them. And it will also help you to discovering who is citing you. So for educators and students, it is a lot of course material from the articles, and identify articles from the literature review process, and help them development of research papers and thesis. This is the educator and students point of view of the content, will help you to develop your complement your course materials. And especially for the research administrators, this could be for the research dean or research directors. So that way, that the Scopus will help assessing the scientific output of individual researcher or the institution. So being the heading the research wing, like they can actually assess what is the scientific output. You can also assess what is the H index of any particular author. And you can accordingly, you can allocate your financial resources to your research department by seeing the impact of the research going on. So, being a director research, you can also check a researcher's tenure, candidates' production, citation, H index, as I just mentioned, and you can just compare them with the with other author, and you can in the same subject area, and you can always give your inputs on the improving your research output of the institution or any particular individual author. So Scopus gives you options to do all of this. So let me quickly take you to the Scopus platform and show you how it actually works. Scopus.com. I think very soon, maybe next week, most of you would be getting access to this platform to explore more about it. So here to explore, there are three options. You can search for documents, authors, and affiliations. I'll just search for affiliations first and show you how you can see a institution research output. So if I click on affiliations, I can I can see the name of the institution and I click on that. I get to see a overview of how many documents, how many authors. I can see the document subject area. I can see the, the subject areas in a pie chart. Once I go into the document section, I can see all the documents and I can analyze them. I click on analyze search. Now I can analyze all the documents which got published and I can select the year range. So it is actually, your institution is publishing from 1944 to till date. So now these are the documents published per year. You can see documents by source. So most of your journal articles are published in Ceylon Medical Journal. And this is the kind of, documents per year by source. So this is BMC research note. This is by source. You have a graph over there. You can see the author. You can see the author and you can also see for example, I wanted to see the author documents. I can click on this and I can see the documents published by that particular author. Again, I can analyze them. By author. I can also see the documents by affiliation. Where are they getting affiliated? Most of them are University of Colombo, National Hospital of Sri Lanka, University of Kelaniya. I can see the subject areas. I can see the documents by funding sponsor. I can see the funding sponsors. You can see what all documents got funded under which sponsor by clicking over here. So I can do such kind of analysis with a particular institute. Okay, this I can do by doing it in search. So if I want to do a author, I want to do a author search or maybe see what the author is actually publishing, I can click on the name. Once I click on any author name, it will give me the author name from which university. I can see the author, where he has published earlier. I can also see the subject areas of that author. I can see the ORCID ID and I can see the kind of citation trends the author is getting. Okay, the number of documents by the author, number of citations this author has got, and what is the H index. Okay, I can also see the H index. I can see the H graph of that author. I click on this H graph. I can see the H index. I can see, just a second. I can see the cited documents. I can see who are the co-authors. This is how I can, I can collaborate with other authors. by doing research on this particular author, I can see the name, other name. I can just get into the details of this particular author and see what are his subject areas of interest. This is how, I see the topics of interest and I can collaborate with them. I can also see most contributed topics of this author in 2015 to 19, and I can access these documents. I can also see the author documents, and I can also see the top weighted citation capacity. So that's how you can go to affiliations, and from there you can go to the author profiles and you can see the documents published by that author and see how many citations, and you can actually collaborate with other co-authors from there. So whenever you do a search, you always get to see the searches, you know getting saved in the search history, so that in future if you want to do, you can actually come and you can actually see these search results once again. So let me search for another affiliation. Let us see that, Postgraduate Institute of Medicine. Postgraduate Institute of Medicine. I don't think, like it is there, because I think your work is getting tagged to University of Colombo, Faculty of Medicine. That's what I could see. So that's how you can search for your affiliations, and you can search for the author. For example, I say Balakrishnan, maybe, and I can search with the author name. Okay. Once I search with the author name, I can filter by, for example, if it is belonging to Chennai, I can Chennai, India, and I can limit my search to that particular name. And if I find the exact person, I click on that name and I can get into the details of this particular author and see what are the documents he has published, and if and see what are his areas of interest. You being an author, for example, this is your name, and most sometimes, like if yeah, sometimes if it is Balakrishnan Prabhakaran, it might be tagged to Balakrishnan P or P Balakrishnan or Prabhakaran B. In that case, you can always edit your author profile. So if you have any preferred name, so that you club all your names, so that it will not impact, it will have a very good impact on your H index. So if you have a various names in different kinds of profiles, you can always do a merge profiles. Okay, you can do a merge profiles here. For example, you wanted to do, for example, you have 2-3 names, you can merge profiles and you can make it one name. So that is possible, and that will help you to increase your impact in terms of your research output, and so that your H index, it will have an impact on your H index as well. So if you are searching for a documents, your documents all the documents by this particular author can be seen over here. You can see an abstract. Okay, you can see an abstract. You can view at publisher. If it's an open access, you can get it, or if you have access to that particular journal, you can access it. So for example, you want to export all these documents, you can always do that. Okay, you can, once you click on export, it will ask you whether you wanted to do it in Mendeley, because if you want to export this to Mendeley, you can do it in Mendeley format, or maybe a RIS or CSV or BibTeX format, whatever format you're comfortable with. You can download this, the entire document list, and you can export to your reference manager and cite them when you do your articles. So that's how you can do a search for the author. The same way you can also search for a document. So for example, if you want to search for any document, you can search it with all of these fields. Okay, we can search with the author, first name, source title. You can just put any of these and you can search for the documents. And when it comes to identifying any journal, like whether you wanted to see whether the particular journal is indexed or not, you can go to this sources. So this sources section, you can go to the sources section. You can search by subject area, title, publisher, or ISSN number. For example, you wanted to see the subject area uh, and see what are the best journals having a high percentile and impact factors and cited by majority and having a very good percentile. You can just type the subject area. For example, I wanted to see oncology. For example, I wanted to see oncology. I select oncology and I apply. Once I click this, I get to see the various journals. Here, I have the source title. This is the site score, highest percentile, citations. These are the number of citations we got. This journal has got from 16 to 19. There are documents, cited person, cite percentage. You also have SNIP, SJR, and the publisher. As you can see, in this, you also have the Lancet Oncology. So if you want to select this journal, you can click on this journal and you get to see that complete details of this particular journal. The Scopus coverage, it is from 2000 to present, publisher ISSN, and the subject area is oncology. It is a journal. So you can view the documents. This is a site score and this is how the site score is calculated. It is more or less relevant to the impact factor. It applies the similar formula, and it will also give you the percentile. And now most of the time to publish, like it will be good to have if you want to publish a journal, you always have you select first and second quartile of journals. That helps for in ranking. If you also have an option to select first and second quartile journal and apply filter. So now you'll get to see only first and second quartile journals, like where you have more chances of better visibility, better cited, and also helps you in your ranking as well. So if you publish in these journals, okay, so you also have a filter. You also have third and fourth quartile, so you can also create a filter like that. Okay, you can also you have filters like minimum citations and minimum documents filters, which you can also apply while searching. So this is a kind of subject area. So if you want to see whether a journal is that really exists, whether it is a Scopus Index journal or not. If someone says that yes, we are Scopus Index journal, and you can directly come to Scopus and you can search for the title. For example, if I want to search for a journal called Journal of see, if you are getting this on Scopus, it is an indexed journal. So if you're not getting this, like that means that it is not indexed, and it is simply waste of time if you are publishing in that particular journals. Like your journal is not indexed and you'll not be getting citations, and it will not be counted. So like you see here, this is a quick check to find whether the journal really exists or not. So whether it is really indexed or not. So this is the way you have to find it. You can create an account So here, like as I told you in the beginning, you can create an account. That's a general account. But to create an author profile on Scopus, you need to get your publishing done in Scopus Index Journal. Then you will be getting an author profile. So otherwise you will not be getting an author profile. So otherwise, for example, I am not an author, like, so mine is a general profile. I will not be there as an author. So for you to be an author, like, you need to get your article published in any of these indexed journals. So that's how you can search for the second quartile journals, and see which journals are having the best site score, and choose the journals from there. And the similar way, you can also search for the publishers. You can also search for titles and subject areas, and you can also see where the actual research is going on in that particular subject. So you can always manage your profiles. You can always check whether your name is correct or not. I just mentioned that, so that like, you can merge the profiles, and you can get a good impact of your publications. If any particular author, you can see the most recent document title of that particular author. You can always see the documents of that particular author, and you can always analyze. So you can see the documents, you can see the secondary documents, and you can also see whether there are any patents related to that document. You can always see the patents. If it is documents, you can see the abstracts of the documents. You can hide the abstracts. You can analyze the documents of any particular author. So you can see, you can analyze. So every section you have got an option to analyze. So I have analyzed this, like, you see what are the documents in 2021 he is working on. You can analyze the subject areas. Majority is mathematics here. So you can see what are the topics. I've chosen a wrong uh, author, like, is not from mathematics. So similarly, like, maybe from medicine, you can choose and see where he is actually working, what are the publications he is doing, what are his topic areas of interest, whether you can collaborate with him. You can always see what the other institution is doing. For example, you wanted to see an institution. You wanted to see what University of Kelania is doing, and you wanted to see the topics, collaborating affiliations of this particular institute. So you can see who are the authors and where are they working. You can click on that and see the authors. You can see the documents, and you can analyze the results. Here you can see the funding sponsors of the affiliations. It is also getting affiliated. Most of the affiliations are with University of Colombo as well. Where are they actually working? So in immunology, if you want to see what are the documents they have published, so you can see all the documents they have published in immunology. And you can see you can see the researchers, you can see the authors. You can analyze the documents. You can always analyze the documents like this and go back. You can select these documents and you can export, and you can add that to your Mendeley or any reference manager. You can download. Okay, you can get an extension. You can view citation overview of these documents. You can also view, who has cited. If you're an author, you can always, click a citation alert. If someone cites your document, you will be getting an alert. You click on document. And you can also, review a particular document. So, I have clicked on this document and I see the abstract of it, and I can also see the Plumex matrix. So this Plumex matrix is actually captured by the social media and the citations beyond Scopus. So if you want to see the details of it, so there are tweets, there are one tweet related to it. If you want to see more details, you can click on more details. You can also see the document citations, beyond Scopus, and you can also see some related documents. If this is not of your interest, you can also pick up some other document which is related to this. So this is a Plumex matrix. So in Mendeley, you have 21 captures. In Twitter, there is one capture. You know, this is how you can see the Plumex matrix. So if I want to skip this and choose another document, I can select a document from here. And you also have the topics related to SciWorld topic of prominence. You have some author keywords, index words in M-Tree. This is from Embase. And you also have the references over here. So I pick up some other document. I click on the other document. I get to see the complete details. If you want to see, I can also save the author list. Sorry for taking extra time. So I'll be ending this in another 5 minutes. So I can see the departments, and I can also see the affiliations, the additional affiliations of this document. So everywhere, like you have a link. So if whether it is by source, or you want to view it publisher, you want to export a CSV, you want to download, you want to cite, you want to see the who has cited, is cited by these authors, so that it will help you to collaborate with the other authors, like sharing the same topic. So, all of these analytics can be found on Scopus, which will actually help you to improvise on your research output as an individual and also as an institution. So, once you get the trial access, I would request you to please explore it. And once you explore it, I'll also share my contact details. Ms. Dilhani already has it. So if you have any further queries, you can always reach out to me, so that I'll be helping you facilitate you to explore this platform when you have access to it. So I think I may be a little fast because I had to cover 3 platforms today, but I'll always be there available for you, maybe on the email or on my WhatsApp. So please reach out to me. So I'm just answering few questions like which you have posted. Like there is a question: can we get individual access, or does it have to be the institution? If it is a Scopus, like now we are talking about an institution access. It is an institution access. So web importer, if you have a Apple that is a Mac system, like you must be using Safari. So yes, it supports Safari as well. Scopus is a search engine. No, Scopus is of course a search engine, like, but it helps you to find documents, and Scopus is actually a citation and indexing database. So it will help you to see a research overview and improvise on your research output to cite and see and analyze any particular document or any particular author and see their research output and collaborate with them, and or maybe see where the actual research is happening. You can see the research trends, and all of these analysis can be done on Scopus. You can't access Scopus now because Scopus needs access. You need to subscribe to Scopus. I have a question why I can't access Scopus now. So you can't access. Very soon we are giving a trial access. So I think through the library, Ms. Dilhani, Ms. Chandima, they will be sharing the access credentials with you. There is a question: if I publish an article somewhere, does it automatically get tagged to Scopus if my institution is affiliated to Scopus? Institution and your individual affiliations are different. If your institution is publishing, if you are publishing on a Scopus index journal, then only you will your research will be seen on Scopus. So you have to publish on a Scopus index journal. To find that, you find the journal list in the search section. You'll be able to find that. If you are publishing in that particular journal, then your work will be published here. We don't discontinue. There is a question: why do you discontinue some journals after a few years of indexing? So we don't discontinue. It will be there in, there are the active and inactive journals. So it will be there under inactive. It will not be discontinued. Clinical key, you already have an access. So you don't need any individual access. Like, you can get remote access from your library. All your IDs are already remote access activated. Once you get it, it is like an individual access only. So institution has subscribed for it, but providing remote access where you can access clinical key from anywhere. So I think I have answered all of your queries. I've taken enough time. So you can reach out to me for any further queries on my number, or else reach out to Ms. Dilhani or Ms. Chandima. So thank you for your time. We will come back to the library with the Scopus trial access. You can reach out to your library for getting the access and exploring more on Scopus. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity provided. Uh, and I would personally like to thank Ms. Dilhani and Ms. Chandima for organizing this. And we would love to do such sessions, many more sessions in future. And the request has to come from you. We will always be in touch with them. If you need any particular topics, you can let us know. We'll be very happy to do a demo on that. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for sharing knowledge on clinical key, Mendelian introduction to Scopus during this critical period in India, especially. So, very especially, our thanks goes to resource person, Mr. Durga and Ms. Sheena. Thank you very much, Mr. Durga. So, I'm glad to say you that in Scopus, our director has scored a lot in S. Rajapaksha. He mentioned like that in Scopus. Once
Oh,
we postgraduate, we should get that as one word. So I think we can get we can trace from the Scopus Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, University of Colombo. The Faculty of Medicine is a separate thing. So we will try, once we get the trial access, we try our best to get it. So thank you very much, Mr. Durga and Ms. Sheena, sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Take care and stay safe, ma'am. Thank you.
You too.